Hello and welcome to another episode of the Otaku Experience over here on the Burnett Network. I am once again your host, Israel. In this episode, we're going to discuss what you should do if you're interested in getting into anime in 2024. A video of Koshitan from My Deer Friend Nokotan came out and has blown up is an understatement, and Crunchyroll rebrands with an updated logo and graphics. After we discuss the stories, we'll take a look at some of the more memorable moments from this past week with keeping up in the anime community. We'll talk about this week's summer anime audience rankings, and finally, we'll get into the comments written by you guys in the last episode. And with all that being said, let's get right into the show. Hey guys, how y'all doing? You like that? No? Me neither. Okay, we'll never do that again. Anyways, hello guys, how y'all doing? So, like always, we get into a little bit of a banter before we get into the main part of the show. And so, I want to talk about this. So, the summer season's going on. These are the shows that I'm watching. If I add in my dropped shows, these are the shows I've dropped. If I add in the plan to watch, these are the maybe shows that if I drop any more of these top 10, I'll start filtering those in. But yeah, anyways, so these are the shows I'm watching. But anyways, this past week, I watched 3 new shows, 2 that just started airing this past week, and another one I was just behind on, but I finally got caught up. So the first one is Atri, My Dear Moments. This is the one where the guy it's like in an alternate future where, you know, like climate change and things like that have caused the waters to rise up, like the sea level to rise up. And so it's in the future. And so this guy's down on his luck. He's missing a leg, and he's like, I need to find something in my grandma's old house because she was rich, and I'm sure there's going to be something in there that we could sell for a fortune and I could get a better, more advanced leg. So he goes down there in a submarine and he finds this robot named Atri, and this girl Atri, and she was this like android robot thing that was created but stopped being manufactured, that makes her very rare and very valuable. And so he finds her and he's like, okay, cool, we're going to try to sell her. But then, you know, they actually like kind of broker a connection, and, you know, it's kind of moving on. We'll see how it goes in the second episode. And I thought it was pretty fun, pretty interested to see where it goes. All right. Another one I watched is one of the ones I was most excited for this season, and it turned out to be really, really good, is Making Too Many Losing Heroines. And this is the one where the guy here is like he's like, as they say, a self-proclaimed background character. And he ends up kind of building a harem of girls that have been rejected from the people that they're interested in. And he just kind of becomes like the platonic friend of like all these girls, and we'll see where it goes. I think it's going to be like a romance. Like they'll all start to gain feelings for him, you know, because he actually talks and listens to them and isn't just like a stupid boy. We'll see where it goes. But I thought it was cute. I thought it was fun. The animation is fantastic for no reason, which shouldn't be surprising because this is A1 Pictures, who's done things like my favorite anime, Sword Art Online, but also done things like Kaguya. We don't talk about this one. Recently did Solo Leveling, does Masho, Blend S, 86, Licorice Recoil. Like, of course, the animation I knew was going to be fantastic, but then it's like, I actually watched it. Why is this quality so bad? But then I actually watched it, and it was like, dude, like the composition in these shots, like it just looks so much better than so many of the other anime airing right now. Specifically the slice of life. Like, for this being a slice of life show, like a rom-com thing, and it looking like this is just so insane when you have bigger shows that are airing, like shows that are bigger, and they don't look like that. It's amazing. A1 Pictures always does what they do, and I'm excited to see where this one goes as well. And then the last one, which isn't new, but it's new to me, is Wistoria. I was behind on this one because this one was a maybe show, and I dropped 3 of the shows I was going to check out. And so I filtered this one in, and I like it a lot. The animation, this might be the best animation of the season so far, in my opinion, at least that I've seen. It's amazing. just the way like some of these things are done, I'm like, dude, they're freaking killing it for no reason. It's just amazing. This I think is the best looking anime of the season. I mean, at least new anime, because I mean Oshinoko continues to look great. I'm not caught up on Tower of God. I haven't started the second season yet, so I need to see how that's looking. Maybe Shoshimin would be in there, but right now for me it'd be Wistoria, Shoshimin, Meikain, and Oshinoko. But I think Wistoria might be that. Like, in terms of its production value, it's just insane. When these fights are happening, it's insane. I can't wait for the next episode. This is like one of those shonen shows that has the tropes, but I'm sitting here and I'm still getting hyped up. That's how you know you have a really good shonen on your hands. All right. But then we've kind of been doing this the past few weeks, so I figured we'll just continue. We're going to get into an Oshinoko mini review thing. And so last week I complained about Abiko, who is the author of the manga that is being adapted. Where is it? Somewhere in here. I'm trying to find a good shot of her. I think this is it right here. Yeah. No. What? Okay, here we go. Yeah, her. This girl. Okay, so she is the manga author, and I hated her in the last episode because it was super unprofessional. She's screaming at everybody. I'm like, okay, I get that you're mad. That's fine. I'm not mad that she got mad. I'm mad at how she handled her madness. But then this episode kind of gave a background to that, and kind of explained like who she is, how she was brought up into the stuff, the pressure she's going under, and it just kind of fleshed that out. That kind of made me relook at that second episode and made me sympathize a lot more with her. And so now I'm excited to see where it goes in the future, because I want this now to work out. I want what's best for Abiko. I want her to go and be happy. I want her to stop making weekly manga. This is ridiculous. This is a great, you know how we talked about like how Oda and Fujimoto and, other manga authors kind of killed themselves by doing the monthly releases? This show is a great example of that. Like, if you just want like a study on this, I would recommend watching episode 3 of this, because they're talking about how, oh, this isn't even the right episode, it's this episode. I would recommend watching this episode because it kind of goes into that and what that pressure is like for someone who has this huge manga but is like dying on the inside, like you saw in that very line where she said, I feel like dying. So anyways, good episode of Oshinoko. I'm excited to see where it goes. And I'm really enjoying this Abiko character. And Abiko, I think, is becoming one of my new favorites. And then the last thing in the little stuff before we get into the main stuff is, so it's been 5 years now since the arson attack on the Kyoto Animation Studio, where a lot of people died, and a lot of people got injured. And we talked about it a little bit last year, kind of the legal process of how that case was going, and how the sentence was going for that guy who did it. But 5 years after the tragedy, there is a monument that was unveiled in Kyoto for everyone. And I figure I'll just read this article real quick, just because they'll probably say it a lot better than I do. I'd rather not stutter and try to figure out my thoughts. I'd rather just read this. So the city of Uji unveiled a special monument dedicated to Kyoto Animation staff who perished in the arson attack on the studio in 2019. The installation was unveiled in the historical park of Green Tea in Uji Town on July 13th, during a ceremony attended by bereaved families and related parties, and was then open to the public. The 3-meter monument includes 36 birds, which represent the victims and symbolize endless dreams that sped through animation and an uninterrupted fight to the future. The statue is adorned with inscriptions such as dreams and passion from person to person. And there's the monument. It was created by Tokyo University of the Art students and funded with part of the donations collected after the incident from Japan and abroad. Following the unveiling, a message by the company's employees was read out, and the president of Kyoto Animation, Hideaki Hata, handed Uji Mayor Atsuko Matsumura a document marking the donation of the monument to Uji. The monument, created by families of the victims, Kyoto Animation, and their supporters, is meant as a symbol of peace that everyone affected by the incident, those who were lost and those who sent prayers and support from around the world, The monument is not a traditional memorial, and the township of Uji asked visitors not to leave offerings and instead use it as a way to honor the memory. The monument was erected ahead of the 5th anniversary of the arson attack on Kyoto Animation Studio 1 building in Fushimi Ward of Kyoto on July 18th, 2019. Which, when this episode is coming out, it's already been a few days past that. In addition to 36 KyoAni individuals who lost their lives, 34 people, including the arsonist, was sentenced to death last year, were injured. Okay. So, I don't really, this isn't like a commentary thing like, oh man, just, it feels like, not like in a bad way, but it feels like it, we're kind of finally able to, because it felt like justice hadn't been served, or that there was just so much lack of closure. And it feels like with this almost that at least some semblance of, kind of like with the doves there, like we can finally like those people, those families who suffered losses, the people who did die, the people who were injured. This feels like kind of we can finally start to begin to take those steps, as well as the people in the anime community who, even though on an emotional and a personal level, we have no idea and we can't even claim to know like what these people are actually going through, the people who actually did lose their families and their friends. But I think this, at least in my interpretation, represents healing, and just a moving on in a good way for everybody, moving on for the souls that were killed and lost, moving on for the families, and hopefully moving on for the community as well. All right, so you're thinking of getting into this anime, eh? Trying to see what all the cool kids are up to? Well, look no further, because me, have just what you need to get started on your anime journey. That's right. We're going to talk about how you should go about getting into anime in the year 2024. And this is the updated guide. Don't watch last year's guide. Watch this one. This is the updated guide where I do not recommend pirating anime. Now, granted, that is like an oversimplification, but yeah, we're not going to do that like last time where I do think that it is a tragic part. Like if we can try to be idealistic and be like, oh, well, we shouldn't do it. But I think it's that part where 1% of the time it's like the only option. And that's why I brought it up. But we're not going to bring it up this time because y'all got mad at me. And to be fair, it probably didn't help anything. But anyways, so step 1, all right? You're a casual. You don't know what you're freaking doing, okay? Just go on whatever you have. I'm sure you have some streaming service, whether that's Netflix or Max or Disney Plus or something. You're going to have some anime on whatever you have, okay? Find one that you've heard of before, whether you've heard people talk about it. Like my first anime was Sword Art Online, because that was something my siblings watched when they were my age at the time. They were like 13 or 14, when they saw it. And then, I got to that age and I was like, okay. And so I watched it. So find a show that you've heard of, that the name of at least, and check that out. Don't try to go finding all these niche shows. Don't do that. Just find the mainstream ones, because that'll be the easy way in. Now, after you've watched a few older-ish shows, because those could be, like Demon Slayer is a classic now, even though it's still ongoing. So it doesn't have to be like something old like Cowboy Bebop or Evangelion. So after you've watched a few of these shows, and you thought that it was interesting and you want to keep going further into this, what you need to do is go to this website we use almost every week on the Otaku Experience, and go to My Anime List. This is the biggest anime community thing on the entire internet. This is where most people go when you want to log your shows. You can also do manga. You can buy things, you can have discussions, so many discussions. You can go to all these tabs, so much stuff here, okay? There's news, it's a lot of stuff, okay? And so what you want to do is create an account. I'm logged into mine. And what I would usually do when I was getting into this stuff is go to anime up here, scroll down and either click top anime, and then from here you're going to have all anime, and then you're going to have most popular anime. So go over here. Okay, so then you have two of these lists, okay? And these are the two different lists. So these are going to be the ones, this list, the top 50 highest rated shows, these are going to be your shows that are the most well-regarded in anime history, okay? All the way at number 1, we have Freerun, which is recent, but I think is kind of deserving of the spot. Bleach is in here, Gintama, Hunter x Hunter, Clannad, Fruits Basket, Attack on Titan, Your Name. We have movies in here too, Bocchi the Rock, Vinland Saga. And so this one's going to kind of rotate, but this is where you can find shows that most people tend to agree are really good shows. Then either you do that first or you can do this after whatever we're about to talk about now, which is the popular shows, where it's suddenly in a different order. And this is based on how many people have logged these shows. So, you have Attack on Titan, Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist, One Punch Man, Sword Art Online, Demon Slayer, My Hero, Naruto, Hunter x Hunter, Tokyo Ghoul. Odds are every show I just listed you've heard of before, or at least a few of them, because these are the most popular shows. These are the most watched shows. So you could go to this one and find shows that most people are going to know about, or you could go to this one, find shows that most people think are good or think are the best of the best, or you could find something in the middle where you're going to find that crossover. Like Full Metal Alchemist is on both. Your Name is on both. Hunter x Hunter is on both. Those things might be like your best spot where you can find something like that. All right. Step 1's done. Okay. That probably took you a couple months. All right. Let's just take a breather real quick. Okay. All right. So you move on to step 2, which is casual plus. Okay. We're not above a casual yet. You're casual plus now. So continue using what you have. So when you go to these shows on My Anime List, don't start buying streaming services. Don't do that because you're not committed yet. You're not in it yet. You're just interested. Okay. So find these shows, the popular and the top rated shows, and see what's on the streaming service you've already been using to watch the shows that first got you into this stuff, okay? So see, if Attack on Titan's there, see if Full Metal Alchemist is there, see if Demon Slayer's there, and continue using what you have before you start making commitments to other services, okay? After you're kind of committed, maybe you've watched like 10 shows at this point, okay? After this, and you want to continue your journey and have a wider selection of these shows, you got to get Crunchyroll. It's the biggest anime service in the world. And so you have to go to Crunchyroll, and you can hit browse, and you can go by different genres. You can go by popular. You can go by new, alphabetical, what's airing right now. You can see what's coming up. You can look at different things like that. There's games. There's the store. There's news. So things like that. And so you'll go to Crunchyroll, and you'll start continuing to look for this. One of my favorite features on Crunchyroll is you can see like what's airing today. I like to keep that. In case you guys don't know this about me, I'm a calendar person. I schedule things too much. Because if I don't schedule it and I don't know what I'm doing, I will get on my phone, I will sit on my computer, I will do something, and I'll just goof off and get nothing done and then be very disappointed in myself. So I have to put stuff down. So I like to put the anime that I'm going to watch on my calendar ahead of time, so that way I know what I'm going to be watching. And then, when it comes up, I don't forget that the episode's out. And number 2, it keeps me from doing something else. And that way I know what I'm doing. But that's just me. So that's just one of my favorite features because that's who I am. But, in my watch list, we have 3 new episodes of like 3 of what I think are the best anime airing right now, right? And then these are the simulcasts. Then you go down here. These are the, Siblings Odd, some of the best family anime, Crunchyroll News. These, the shows that are kind of sponsored, popular shows that are out right now, just updated, so like newest episodes, healing anime. So you'll go to Crunchyroll and you'll start watching a few more shows. This might be where you start experimenting a bit, like, okay, I've never watched a horror anime, or I've never watched, I've only been watching the big fight action anime. So let me watch a slice of life. Let me watch a romance. Things things like that. Let me try watching a show that, has a different type of animation style. Like let me watch like Beastars or Trigun Stampede. That's a 3D animated show. Things like that. This is where you'll start experimenting a little bit. Then, you'll start maybe watching a couple movies, like the Ghibli films, the Shinkai works, the Mamoru Hosoda films. These well-known filmmakers in the space that have kind of bled into the mainstream. You can watch these and start seeing how anime works in film, how the film can take anime as a medium that you already know, but then do something with it that the shows can't do. Whereas vice versa, the shows can do something that the movies can't do. You start to see this bigger picture. Okay, so now we're talking like 6 months or so you've been into anime. You're starting to build up that rack on My Anime List. Maybe you got like 25, 30, 40 shows / movies in there. And then we move on to step 3, which is starting the loser road. So now you're starting to become a loser like us. So welcome. So now this is the part where you're like, okay, I'm into it. I've started watching some shows that are out. I want to keep up with what's going on. So I'm going to start reading some manga. So you start reading some manga or some light novels. Maybe you're playing some video games. Maybe you're playing some visual novels, and you'll kind of go through the same process as you did with the shows, all manga or most popular. You can go to manhwa or webtoons, which are, mangas written by different countries and things like that, like Chinese or Korean. And then maybe you start keeping up with seasonal anime, where, you like to see what's going on right now. You're like, hey, okay, what came out in summer 2024? Okay, all right, well, hey, okay, what's this? Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. What's this about? You'll read it, you'll be like, okay, that sounds interesting. Oh, it has good reviews. Okay, it's on Crunchyroll. Let me go and watch that. And then you already have Crunchyroll, so then you start checking that out. And then maybe you check out a couple more. Don't burn yourself out. Don't try to do too many. Don't do like 18 shows in a season. Just do like 3 at most. Just chill. Okay, then you'll start getting some more streaming services because the seasonal anime you want to watch aren't just on Crunchyroll. So now you have to make a high dive account. So you can watch Oshinoko, or you can watch 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, or so you can watch Urusei Yatsura, or so you can watch Ragna Crimson, or things like that. And then we move on to step 4, which is to get your Weeb license. All right. So this is where you start subscribing to AniTubers like Giguk, The Anime Man, Mother's Basement, Chibi Reviews, King Tannic, Echidnut, things like that. You'll start finding some anime chats, like forums, whether that's on My Anime List or on Reddit or like a Discord or something, or you'll start having maybe friends online or IRL friends who also watch anime that you can talk about with. And then you'll start eating everything with chopsticks and having rice with every meal. And then we move on to step 5, which we're not ready to talk about this yet, but I'll just mention, kind of a bare bones of what that's like. That's where you start trying to learn Japanese, to fail at learning Japanese. You start thinking about moving to Japan and marrying a Japanese girl. You cry because it won't happen and you can't afford it because the economy's trash. And so you just accept your new life where you just watch anime and you want to be Japanese, but you're not Japanese. And so you're depressed. All jokes aside, it's as simple as this. To get into anime, watch anime that you like. Don't try to 100% everything. That's something that new anime fans do a lot, including myself when I was into it, when I was new. And I did that back in like 2022. And it scarred me. Not in like a bad way, where like I hated anime, but it just caused me to not watch as much anime, where last year I barely watched any shows at all. Just because I was so burnt out from just trying to 100% every show. Like, well, I started, X-Arm, so I'm going to finish it. It's like, no, bro, if it's bad, it's bad. Just stop. If you don't like it, don't kill yourself watching it. Now, there can be like so bad it's good shows or stuff that you enjoy watching. But if you're like actively hating what you're watching and you're not having a good time in any way, just stop. Or you're going to get burnt out and move on to something that you do like. That's why I had to stop watching shows, like if in my dropped list, That's why I had to stop watching shows like Pseudo Harem or Days of My Stepsister or Suicide Squad Isekai because, well, I don't think any of these shows were necessarily bad. They just they weren't going to help me stay interested in anime. They were just going to be something that I wasn't interested in, that I thought was okay, that I thought was just fine, that just passed the time, but I wasn't actively looking forward to each week. And I knew that in the long run, like over the course of the anime season, which is about 3 months, that was going to like destroy me. So I'm dropping them and I move on to shows that I do enjoy watching. And now I'm watching shows like Wistoria, which I think is great. I'm watching, Atri. I'm watching Shoshimin, Nokotan. I'm hearing The Elusive Samurai is good, so I'm thinking about giving that one a shot. Tower of God's great. Stay watching the shows that you do like. Don't watch the shows that you don't like. And I think that's it. I think you'll be fine that way. But anyways, there you go. That's how you get into anime in 2024. At least my recommendations on what I would do if I were recommending like a friend of mine getting into it this year or something like that. But hey, at the end of the day, the only one who can decide what's best for you to do when you start watching anime is you. So you decide that. You take everything I said with a grain of salt, put it through the filter of your life, and just do what you want to do, and I'm sure you'll be fine. Here's a story from this past week that we didn't have time to fully discuss in this episode. The Quintessential Quintuplets Honeymoon TV special will be released in Japan on September 30th for a 3-week theatrical run. The team from the Quintessential Quintuplets movie is returning, as well as the original creator who wrote the draft this special is based on. For more information about the Quintessential Quintuplets and what might be in the special, I'll put an anime trending article in the description. My Deer Friend Nokotan, I think, is one of the best shows that's airing right now. And not just that, it's also been the talk of the town for a few weeks. And it continues to be that. Because Twin Engine released a 90-second video of Koshitan dancing from the show on Wednesday. And it's now over 3.6 million views. Okay. This is ridiculous. Okay. So this is it. We're only going to show a little bit of it because don't want to get copyright claimed or anything like that. But it's also just funny just to watch the full 90 seconds on your own. So here we go. And then we get to this part, the deer's just watching the whole time, like the donkey meme. And then we get to the what most people are talking about, which is the Bully Maguire part. Where they reference the Bully Maguire part. Okay, so apparently this whole thing isn't in there, but this is apparently looped at some point. But I also have no context for this because the show does air early for most people. It airs like on Monday or Tuesday, I forget. But then it doesn't come to Crunchyroll until the week after on the Sunday. And so we have to wait for that because the only way to watch it is to have a connection of someone who does watch it when it first comes out, do a fan translation and then send it to you, or you have to torrent it. And so I don't do those. So I just have to wait until it comes out. And so I have no idea what's going on in this episode. But apparently the sequence isn't actually this long. But I think it loops around here. Like around here is when it goes back. But this is still over a minute. Why is this like this? I debated, because this is such a small thing and I don't really have much to talk about. Because this is such a thing, a small thing, I debated whether or not to put this in the anime community section. But I was like, you know what? We got to talk about it. This is a main thing. Koshitan dancing. I have no idea why she's dancing or what's going on. Neither does this deer, it looks like. Can we talk about how she punches the deer in the face? We'll see what the context for this is, but man, this anime is awesome. Here's a story from this past week that we didn't have time to fully discuss in this episode. The Solo Leveling sequel, Solo Leveling Ragnarok, is on its way soon with an official release date of August 1st. The news was confirmed on Twitter by Kakao Page, the publisher. The story follows Sung Jin-woo's son as he, quote, levels up. For more information about Solo Leveling Ragnarok, I'll put a CBR article in the description. Recently, we talked about the creation of the American Manga Awards, hosted in New York this year. I believe it's in like August or something like that. Well, they've released their nominees officially, and the article I'm using as my source for the story is from Anime Trending, where they show the nominees for Best New Manga are The Darwin Incident, hashtag DRCL Midnight Children, Just Like Mona Lisa, Mothers, Sora, The House of Monsters. For Best Continuing Manga Series, Blood on the Tracks, Delicious in Dungeon, Dinosaur Sanctuary, She Loves to Cool, She Loves to Eat, The Summer Hikaru Died. Best New Edition of a Classic Manga, Minami's Lover, My Name is Shingo, Neighborhood Story, Okinawa, UFO Mushroom Invasion. Then we have for Best Translation, Stephen Paul, John Neal, David Evelyn, Kevin Steinbach, Stephen Kohler. For Best Lettering, we have Phil Christie, Vadam K, Rebecca Siz, I hope I pronounced that right, Tomoko Saito, Liz Blakesley, and Best Publication Design is Phil Balsman, Nikki Lim and Karis Page, Adam Grano, Nikki Lim and Sandy Grayson, and Andrea Miller. And those are all the nominees. I don't know if they have more categories that they just haven't revealed yet, or if that's it. But the thing I wanted to talk about with this, because this could have just been like a shorter segment thing, but the thing I want to talk about with this is that one thing I love about manga awards is this is where I can get like my eyes on like new manga that are coming out. Because while I have things like Shonen Jump or other manga apps like that to read manga, I don't really know like what's like what people are reading or like what's good, or I don't really know where to go for that. I mean, there is the My Anime List tab, but in my opinion, the website's a lot better for anime, so I don't really use it for that. But I love when awards come out, because then it's like you see what's awarded, you see what people are talking about. And so I'll be interested to take a look at some of these nominees, specifically for the new manga. I'll be interested to take a look at those. But I just want to let you guys know that these awards are coming out, and that if you're interested in what are some We talked about the awful decision to remove comments, reviews, community discussions, and more on their website last week, just basically destroying like the way that people, connect with each other on their website and discuss things. But now it looks like they've updated their website in the form of graphics. This comes after they've surpassed 14 million subscribers on their thing, so that's cool. But so here we go. We got this video. I don't know if this is a copyright thing, but we'll watch a couple seconds of it. All right, so they changed their logo around, and so now the logo looks like this. So same name, new flavor. Okay, cool. So yeah, it looks like this now. Stop it. This is the new logo. It used to look like this. Now it looks like this. And that's really it. I mean, nothing else has really changed. And so it looks like they're kind of rebranding, kind of to modernize, like they said, modernizing some stuff. And I think they were always probably intending on doing this, but it is just a little, just the timing of like these things is just weird, with them like kind of killing the whole community aspect of the website and then them rebranding everything. I hope they bring that community thing back, but I doubt they will, at least anytime soon. yeah, it'll be interesting. I think they're just trying to modernize it and be like, whoa, we're the cool streaming service. But like they're getting rid of all the features people actually care about. I mean, the logo looks nice. Yeah, it looks nice. I'm a fan of graphics. I over perfect the ones on this show all the time, so I understand that. But I think, the stuff that actually matters, I think is more important. It feels like Crunchyroll itself made a bigger deal about the graphics than about the comments, when people mostly care about the comments, not the graphics. So I thought that was a little irritating, but yeah, it's just weird what Crunchyroll's been up to these past few weeks. It'll be interesting to see where they continue to go, how press continues to talk about them, how the community continues to view them, and what's going on. Because I think, I think we're about to see, like, I know they just hit 14 million subscribers, and I'm not saying they're about to lose a whole bunch of subscribers, but I think they're going to start seeing viewership decline as people move to piracy websites, because on those piracy websites, you still have that community aspect where you can talk about it with people. And I think people miss that and they want that. And they're willing to go to another website, a piracy website, and risk ads and things like that. To find that. And so I would hope that Crunchyroll would see that, hear about that, be like, hey, oh my gosh, put it back, and then figure that out. But anyway, I just want to talk about this because this was interesting. Also, it's a very slow news week. I don't know if you guys could tell. Nothing happened this week. But it's just weird how this happened, like right after. It feels like they were almost like fanning the flames, like, guys, or fanning the flames is how you build the flames. It feels like they're trying to stop the flames by being like, guys, look, logo. Look, the eye is bigger. The pupil's bigger on the logo. We changed the C and the R and the L's and the Y's and the name. Here's a story from this past week that we didn't have time to fully discuss in this episode. The Shadows House manga will be entering its final arc after its 200th chapter, as well as a hiatus coming before the final arc begins on August 22nd, according to Shueisha's Weekly Jump magazine. The manga began in 2018 and inspired an anime adaptation in 2021 and 2022. For more information about Shadows House, the hiatus, and its final arc, I'll put an Anime News Network article in the description. All right, with the major headlines out of the way, it's time for us to hop into some of the more memorable moments of this past week. It's time for keeping up with the anime community. All right, so I thought this was pretty cool. We only have one thing this week, but a Demon Slayer fan, right after the Hashira training arc ended, and we're going into the Infinity Castle movie thing, we got this. So it's on this TikTok, so I'm trying to open it. I'm a boomer. I'm trying to figure out how this website works. Oh. No, I don't know how to make this work. Okay, so we can just watch it here. Okay, I think this will work. So someone made this in Minecraft, and it's the Infinity Castle. Hello? Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna mute that because that's the score. But someone built the Infinity Castle in Minecraft. I think this is cool. I think this is awesome. I don't know how long this took. I don't know if they had help. I mean, this had to have taken months. But I thought that was pretty cool, pretty interesting. I don't know too much about this. I don't know too much about the story, but it looks like that happened, and I thought that was fun. And pretty freaking cool. Good job, dude. I mean, that's just awesome. And with that, it's time to take a look at the summer 2024 audience rankings from this past week, starting with the anime trending rankings, which this is the first anime trending rankings of this season. So at first we have Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feeling in Russian, Oshinoko Season 2 at number 2, My Deer Friend Nokotan at number 3, Days with My Stepsister at number 4, Giji Harem at number 5, Shoshimin How to Become Ordinary at number 6, 2.5 Dimensional Seduction at number 7, The Elusive Samurai at number 8, Wistoria Wand and Sword at number 9, and VTuber Legend at number 10. Hopping on over to the Anime Corner rankings, where we're in week 3, we have Days with My Stepsister going up to number 1, Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russians going down to number 2, Oshinoko Season 2 going up to number 3, The Elusive Samurai going up 15 spots to number 4, Wistoria Wand and Sword went up to number 5, Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest went down to number 6. My Deer Friend Nokotan went down to number 7. Too Many Losing Heroines debuted at number 8. Pseudo Harem went down to number 9. And Monogatari series went up 20 spots and popped into the top 10. And then we go over to the Japanese ratings from the Kanto region to see what the people in Japan are watching. And obviously, Zahazai-san is number 1, 6.6 household rating. Chibi Maruko-chan with 4.8, Doraemon with 3.5, Wonderful Precure at 2.9, One Piece 2.9. That time I got reincarnated as a slime season 3 at 2.8. Kinnikuman Perfect Origin Arc, I don't know if I pronounced that right, at 2. Cells at Work 1.5. Pokemon Horizons, a series 1.4. Animated Osaru no George 1.4. And Gigantosaurus Season 3. This was the week after Demon Slayer had ended, so it's no longer on this list. Then we go over to this past week because they released 2 of them this week. Sazai-san went up to 7.4, Chibi Maruko-chan 5.1, Detective Conan 4.3, One Piece 3.1, Wonderful Precure 2.7, Doraemon 2.6, My Hero Academia Season 7 pops in there at 2.3, Kinnikuman Perfect Origin 2.3, Curious George at 1.7, Ashiri Tante 1.5, and Gigantosaurus Season 3. And so for those of you guys who don't know, this is just views from the Kanto region in Japan. The Kanto region, I believe, has like 44 million people who live in it, and that's the percentage. And so you have like 7.4% of the Kanto region watched Sazai-san on July 14th. And it just goes to show how many people are watching it, and that's kind of shows how it's indicative of the overall Japanese population because there's so many people in that one spot. But anyways, so moving on with those, it's time to get into responding to your comments and questions from the last episode. If you would like to have me respond to your comment or question in the next episode, just hop into the comment section below and leave your thoughts on literally whatever, and I'll respond to it. So, at number 1, we have, or not at number 1, but our first one we have is from Ron H7474, who says, I thought there was something fishy with the website. Had no idea they actually removed the comment section. This is disappointing. I go through the comment section of any anime. I want to give a try to see what others thought of it. Stars is fine, but there's no nuance at all, no description, and is basically very subjective. I suppose people will have to go elsewhere to get an idea of what other viewers think of another anime or other. It's true, and I'll tell you where they're going. They're going to piracy sites. This is the problem. Like Crunchyroll, in their efforts to continuously to try to stop piracy from going up, keep doing stuff that causes piracy to go up because people just aren't enjoying the UI. Like, where else are people going to talk about it? Netflix? High Dive? No, they're only going to talk about it on Crunchyroll, except they can't anymore. So they're moving on. It's crazy. But yeah, it, like you said, with stars can help, but I like to know why people vote good on something rather than just like seeing a review, personally. And so I like to see what people are talking about with like a daily thing. Like I like to see people's different takeaways. Like maybe I didn't like an episode, but everybody else loved it. Or maybe a bunch of people didn't like the episode, but I loved it. And I like to see how that kind of goes across. So maybe we both loved it or both hated it, but for different reasons. And I love seeing those conversations. I very rarely ever got involved in the conversations, but it was nice to read them. It was nice to like see what other people were thinking of them. Then we move on to Rogue Thinker 9171 who says, giving a review of something you find offensive isn't review bombing. It's called giving a review. People are entitled to their opinion on whatever criteria they decide is relevant to them. Silencing them because you're offended by their opinion is called censorship. Enjoy. It's true. I think you're referring to when Crunchyroll, it was the Mother's Basement tweet where it was like a bunch of the negative review bombing on the Boys Love Anime, Twilight Out of Focus, as well as Senpai as Otakonoko, I believe. And, in response to those review bombings where a decent amount, if not most of those, were very clearly, at least seemed very clearly to be people who didn't actually watch the show, but were just review bombing because of what they thought the show was. Like, it has a gay character in it, so I'm going to review bomb it. And then there were some that actually did like take the time to watch the episode and still gave it a bad review, which is fine. So I agree with that. Like, I agree with it. Silences the conversation overall and just minimizes things. And that's why I'm against them removing like the entire like forget like the comments. They're removing like I believe they're removing like the review aspect too. I could be wrong, but like that you can't even like leave like a review of something like overall. And you can only leave stars, and it's ridiculous. Like, how am I supposed to know what people think? And it is weird because, like you were saying, you have people who genuinely give a review for something, whether positive or negative, and then you have people who review bomb something, likewise, positive or negatively. Like, you might have a bunch of people drive into something, give it a bunch of 5 stars just because it is what it is, rather than like them actually like, reviewing, what it actually is. That's what happens when a lot of shows pop into the top 10 anime on my anime list. There's a bunch of people positively review bombing something. But then you have a bunch of people negatively review bombing something. And I think both of those people need to have restrictions on them so that way we need to find a way to avoid that. But I don't think the answer is silencing everybody. So I think I agree with what you were saying. I think that's what you were saying. So yeah. Then we have Chris Staree, 563, who says, I think getting rid of comments seems to avoid political bickering. What's weird is the timing of this implementation. This is just a lazy way of handling the problem of people causing problems. I agree. It's just the timing makes it seem like it was very much because it coincided like right with the Nokotan stuff where people were getting mad at Crunchyroll. And it just kind of seemed like, okay, well, we're going to forget just like avoiding like there was someone else who said like it seemed like they were always planning on doing this and they just needed a reason to do it. And then they were like, oh, people are mad at us about Nokotan. Great. Turn off the comments. And it's not helping anything. And then they released a statement being like, yeah, we just want everybody to feel safe and have a good environment. Well, guess what? You removed the environment. There is no good environment because now there's no bad environment because there's no environment. You removed it. And so I agree. Listen, there's always going to be like bad faith audience members who talk about this stuff. And we have to find a way to be able to get around that or prevent that from happening where people aren't even like being audience members anymore. We have to encourage productive conversations about like the art that's coming out and diminish unproductive ones. So like, just because someone doesn't like something doesn't mean that's an unproductive review or something like that. It's only when someone isn't watching the show or is being negative to the people who do like it or the people who feel differently from them or doesn't watch it and reviews it, whether good or bad. Those are where we need to, or brings politics into it and starts making the comment section just, not fun to be in. Those are the things we need to like deal with. But it's just, it just felt like what Crunchyroll is saying they're trying to do isn't actually what they did. And I think a lot of people are seeing that. Then we have Arhino 789, who says, someone always has to ruin it for everyone. It's true. You have like 1% of the audience who ruins it for everybody. And like I said, there's also the theory that, could be that, it maybe the straw that broke the camel's back was everybody getting mad about the Nokotan AI translation and stuff like that. It could be that, but I definitely think that the review bombing on both sides, as well as just the people in the comment section, not making it fun. Like there would be like reviews that I saw in shows, like, someone would say like they really liked it or someone would say they didn't like it. And then you would like look at the replies and like the first 2 were like insults at that person. And then you got to like the actual productive conversation, so we have those people who did ruin it, but then, it's just a crazy situation. And then we have Kano2444 who says, frankly, Crunchyroll doing anything at all to their site is amazing. It's been crap for a decade and has barely improved, even though they were number 1 source for legal anime watching. I'm not surprised in the least that they would pull such a corporate move to save the sensitive investors. Yeah. This could have been a decision Crunchyroll, like the people who run the service didn't want to do, but it could have been just something that like, hey, like we're getting bad press about like a lot of this stuff. So we got to remove the comments, could have been that too. Cause the people who hold the money hold the power. So what can you do with that? But yeah, I mean, now they've, doing anything to their site is, they've updated their site quite a bit over these past few years. Like I remember like 3 or 4 years ago, like their site was completely different and they keep adding stuff to it. So I think that overall, like I like the UI on Crunchyroll. I like a lot of stuff about Crunchyroll, but then they just do stuff like this that I think is just ridiculous. And then our last one is from Miss Deadlight 9696, who says, "Wait, so people review bombed a boys' love show and now no one is allowed to talk? Good work, review bombers. You just had to go and run your mouths." True. It's not just BL shows. There's also Yuri shows. There's also like Senpai's and Otokonoko, which does have boys' love elements in it, but it's just like a dude cross-dressing, and people got upset about that. People who think that the show, is like politically opposed to them and is trying to shove an agenda or something down their throats, and then they review bomb it. So it is what it is. So I think like, I do think there is definitely an element of the Nokotan situation, but yeah, I think a lot of it, the blame has to be placed at the people who review bombed the shows, and just made these discussions no fun. And now they've created a situation where there are no longer discussions to be had because it's gone. But anyways, that does it for this episode of the Otaku Experience. I want to thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And if you prefer to listen to the show, because maybe you can't watch it whenever it comes out, or you think I'm ugly or something, I don't know. You can listen to the Otaku Experience podcast on Spotify. And hey, if you want to keep it with me outside of this show, you can subscribe to me on my main YouTube channel, King Tannic, where I also make anime content, but in a less serious and professional way. You can also follow me on Instagram at King Tannic, or follow me on Twitter at King Tannic Israel. And if you're new to the Burnett Network, consider sticking around. We have some great shows for you to watch every single week, most of which are hosted by the one, the only Robert Meyer Burnett. And with that being said, guys, this episode comes to a close. I will see you all next time.